I passed the Nclex in 85 questions, and I want to share exactly how I did it. What worked for me, tips that I think will help you, and motivation to get you through it too. So if you're about to take the Nclex or feeling nervous about it, I really hope this makes you feel more confident. And if you're studying for the Nclex, drop a comment and let me know where you are in your journey, and let's get started. Also, if you see me looking down, it's because I kind of wrote out everything that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to start off with my own Nclex journey. In case you're new here, my name is Jizelle. I was born and raised in San Diego, and I went to school at West Coast University in Ontario. So if you're familiar with that school, I might be a really good resource for you. So I graduated in October of 2024, which was only last year, and I started prepping for the Nclex right after I took the exit exam. So I took the exit exam on October 25th, 2024, and then 3 weeks later, I took the Nclex on November 15th. And I'm going to be really real with you. If you haven't seen any of my TikToks, I was not an A student. I took the T's 7 times. I had to retake anatomy. So taking the Nclex, I already had accepted that it was okay taking the Nclex more than once, and it is okay. I'll talk about more of what resources I used and how I studied next, but somewhere in my studying journey, I hit a wall that I just needed to take the exam. It was more of like, even if I failed, at least I'd know what it was like and what I need to work on. So at West Coast University, they really encouraged us to take the Nclex within a month of taking the exit, just while everything is really fresh in your brain, which honestly made sense to me, and that's something that I wanted to do and obviously did do. So reaching that 3-week mark and not passing like the practice predictor, I was shaking in my knees. I just was like, I need to take it. Like, a little thing in me was, I got through this really hard accelerated program for 2 years. I think I can pass one last test. So I know the pressure that comes with the exam, but honestly, I would focus more on preparing the right way. And I think that's what made all the difference. So when it came to test day, I just reminded myself, just take it one question at a time. It's okay if you don't pass. You failed other things. I've had to take my written driver's exam when I was 16 twice. So honestly, I was like, I'll take the Nclex twice. It's fine. And also that I failed other things in life and still made it where I am today. A big mantra that really helped me in the whole process of nursing school is that it's not about being the smartest, but it's about being dedicated. And maybe that'll hit home for you too, because I know since I've been saying it and sharing it online, so many people take it, it really helps them get through a lot. So what helped me pass? What resources did I use? I surprisingly didn't buy any outside resources. I didn't buy UWorld, Archer, Kaplan, my school, West Coast. This is such a West Coast coded video if you go to West Coast. But my school used ATI throughout the whole program, and they also used it during our last term. We got to use VATI, which is virtual ATI, which is, I think, is honestly like UWorld Archer. Like, it's questions and test and practice stuff. But I'm not saying that UWorld, Archer, Kaplan, or the Mark Klimek videos aren't useful. I just didn't use them, so I can't compare them. But I've heard good things about all of them. But here's my take. It's not about which resources you use, but it's how you use it. I'm not going to promote any of them. Use whichever one you want, but use them in how I'm going to explain. I took the Nclex 3 weeks after the exit, but I can't exactly say that I studied 3 weeks for the Nclex because that's kind of crazy. But I will say our terms are 10 weeks, so in our last term, we were prepping for the exit exams. I'm talking up to 300 plus questions a week for 10 weeks straight, and that was for the exit, but I believe that prep also helped me for the Nclex. Studied for the exit for 10 weeks, but studied for the Nclex, I'm going to tell you like 13. Basically within those 10 weeks we focused on one topic per week, and they were like the major topics in nursing that you learn. We had fundamentals, med-surg, maternal newborn, pediatrics, leadership, community health, mental health, pharm, and then like I said, each week we did 300 to 500 questions using the ATI dynamic quizzes, board vitals, and then like the final ATI quizzes. 1 month before I took my Nclex is when we started VATI, which is ATI's version version of like Nclex prep, and we repeated all of those same topics, but we did it at our own pace. And each topic had a pre-test, and it didn't matter what score we got on it, a proctored exam, and it was truly proctored. So you wanted to score high on this, and if you didn't score a 60% or higher, you were given extra remediation, which is why you wanted to score higher so you didn't have to do more work. Just by going from normal ATI practice questions to VATI, my scores went up 5 to 10% over time. So even if it felt like I wasn't doing any work and I was just blowing through these questions and just drilling through them, it really does help. If you're doing it consistently daily and you have a routine, I mean, for me, it was school that was forcing me to do it, but it really did help. If your school throw you out into the world and you have to figure out Nclex by yourself, you've got to have that discipline to be able to do it yourself, unless you're just really smart and you know all the material. So each of those topics within VATI, whatever resources you use, you should be doing something like that. Some type of pre-test, some type of real proctored exam to really test where you're at. So once we finished all those modules, we took a predictor test at the very end, and that was supposed to give you an estimate of your like probability of passing the Nclex. And I think my school wanted us to 76. I think 72 or 76, something like that. And when I took it, I got like a 68 or something. I didn't pass it though, and basically that meant I had to wait a whole week again to retake the practice predictor, which means if I did that, I would be going over that 1 month line of like taking the Nclex before my 1 month mark. So that's why I just ended up taking it. Even though like my school drilled it into us that we had to pass the predictor to pass the Nclex, I was defeated. I even knew in my brain, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna pass this practice predictor, and if I don't, I'm still gonna take the Nclex. That's exactly what I told myself, and that is what I did. And I actually encouraged like one of my other friends to do it, and she did end up passing as well, even though she didn't pass the practice predictor. Once I didn't pass that practice predictor, I scheduled the Nclex for 3 days later, so I only knew 3 days before I knew I was taking the Nclex. Moral of the story is to trust your gut and that you know more than you think. There's 2 things that will help you pass the Nclex: content knowledge and test taking skills. So I really need you to be real with yourself. Know which one needs more work. If you struggle with content, you don't have to know everything, but you need to know enough. Do not cram. I repeat, do not cram. Do at least like 2 hours of practice questions daily. Do 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. Secondly, no matter what resource you use, ATI, UWorld, Archer, Kaplan, Mark Clement, whatever it is, break it down by topics. Lastly, prioritize your weak areas first. Practice the stuff that you don't know. If you're really good at pharmacology, don't start with pharmacology. If you're really bad at maternal newborn and babies, start with maternal newborn and babies and work your way closer into what you do know, so that when it gets closer to your test date, you're just reviewing what you know. You already learned what you didn't. And just make sure you improve on those scores that you were weak in before moving on to what's next. Now, if you struggle with test taking and second guessing yourself, you need to understand how the Nclex thinks. Prioritization, safety, and critical thinking. So if you second guess yourself a lot, and trust me, I did that too, you need to use practice tests that give you like immediate feedback, whether it's right or wrong, so you can build that confidence. I know in ATI they give you that selection through like dynamic quizzes. You can do like study mode, and you can just click the answer, submit, and you'll know if it's right or wrong. That really helped me with knowing like, oh, I had in my head, I thought that was the right question, but I picked that one. You'll start getting like green, green, green multiple times in a row, and you're like, oh, I can't trust my brain. So my go-to test taking strategies when it comes to critical thinking and test taking skills, the elimination technique. The Nclex isn't tricky like nursing school exams. It's actually more straightforward, and I feel like after going through a nursing program where they tried to make tricky questions and give you 4 right answers and pick the most right answer, the Nclex throws you off and it makes you want to overthink every little thing, like, oh, put this in A, B, and C and blah, 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 blah. They're not trying to trick you, I promise. So you can truly narrow it down usually. That one's definitely not right. That one's definitely not it. You gotta kind of use your gut, use your instincts, and also a little bit of knowledge of whatever you know to process, eliminate, make an educated guess if you need to. And also the safety first mindset. I will say this to the very end, but the Nclex is a safety test. It's hard. That's not hard. I think after going through a nursing program, we're just assuming this test is going to be like really hard because it's the boards. And to an extent, like, it is difficult, but it really is a safety test when it comes down to it. They just want to make sure you're being safe and you're not going to make a dummy mistake. Always remember your ABCs, your race. Always remember putting the patient first. You never, ever, ever leave the patient alone. So if there's like a question that's like, oh, there's a patient laying on the floor, you don't know what happened, and an option that says, leave the room, you're not going to pick that. You're never going to leave the patient alone. Patient always comes first. So the day before and exam day tips. Just relax, hydrate, and get some good sleep. The day before the Nclex, I'm pretty sure I did practice questions. Like if you're gonna study, do questions in the morning, and then like after like 9-10 a.m. go do something, go get a massage, to a workout class, like whatever it is, the way that you decompress and de-stress, go do that. Forget about the Nclex for a few hours if you can. You know, the best that you can try to like not think about the big test you're taking tomorrow. And then on the exam day, you want to make sure you don't rush. You want to have like what seems like a typical day. Like don't do anything that's too different. If you usually don't eat breakfast, don't eat a fat breakfast. If you usually do eat breakfast, don't not eat breakfast. Just try to stick to your normal routine and take deep breaths, and to always focus on one question at a time. Because I know this test can feel like it's the biggest exam ever, but you have come so far. Nursing school was hell, but you made it. And I promise you, if you survived nursing school, you can pass the Nclex. You don't have to be the smartest. You just have to be dedicated. One question at a time, one step at a time, and you will get there. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more nursing content and more of San Diego live content if you happen to live here too. I believe in you. You got this. You are going to pass with flying colors. Good luck.